Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. Today OBS is back and working again. I've been chilling here 2 hours something live stream talking with chat about Fontaine 4.0, Lyney, Lynette, Fossilor, Farina, like all the stuff. And of course on the screen you guys see the new artifacts that's coming out. There's quite a bit to cover, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Let's first talk about the new characters before we even talk about the artifact set. Lyney is a pyro character, a pyro bow character. A lot of people immediately just cringe at the thought of having to use a bow, and it seems like in the live stream he's also revolving around charge attacks. Like Hoyoverse, you have to understand, not only are you weeding out a large portion of your fan base with the general character design. Again, I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying there's a problem with it. I'm just saying you're tunneling very hard into a specific demographic of players that you're already weeding out a lot of players just by saying, oh, you know, like I don't really like how he looks, like his general vibe. Not for me, probably skipping, right? You're already weeding out a ton of people, maybe not a ton, like maybe give 20%, right? 10-20%, give or take. And on top of that, you're gonna make a charge attack bow character. Do you realize how many people you're actively telling, hey, don't pull for this character? So now we gotta evaluate his strength, right? Like, is this character OP? Is he just insane? From what it seems like, everybody's saying, hey, wanna play him as a mono pyro character, which again, I've made videos in the past. Mono teams are not cheap. Now, the benefit right now is that most people probably have a well-built Bennett to the point where you're not going to need to then like pull and wail out for the dedicated 4-star buffer like Goro, like Kujosara, and also like the most recent Faruzan. So most people right now don't need to spend that extra money, and Bennett C6 actually doesn't have any really benefits towards his character, right? So it's just the attack percentage buff for Bennett, and most people will have Bennett as C1 by now. If not, you get a free one in 4.0. So that's the big driving factor in building this team. On top of that, you're going to build a mono team. It seems like you can't get away from having to run Dia. Oh, no. Once again, Hoyoverse is here to sell you a solution to a problem they've created many patches ago. It seems like that Dia will have the added benefit of being able to slot into this team fairly comfortably. Again, mono teams is the subject of discussion here. If Lyney is a mono team carry, like damage carry, right? You likely will have Lyney, you have a secondary, like either Xiangling being an off-field pyro, or some people were saying that they want to run Yanfei to help him with interruption resistance. But then if you have Dia, then Yanfei's interruption resistance is going to be less valuable, meaning that you can probably then swap out your Yanfei and just play your Xiangling. But if you don't have Dia, playing Yanfei as C4, right, and then playing Xiangling as your 4th damage option, you have a nice solid pyro mono team. Now here's the situation right now, okay? Mono pyro is going to be a good option, so I've said that. But mono teams in Genshin Impact throughout the history of Genshin existence has never really dominated the meta space. They've always been good options because right now Hoyoverse needs to make up for the sales they have lost out in the last 2 patches. People have been just gutting Hoyoverse, but then again, they're making $10 million give or take across all platforms. Is that very little money? Only respectively to the previous month of sales they've had. So when it comes to Hoyoverse, 10 million is very little, but in general 10 million is still a ton of money. Nonetheless, if this continues, Hoyoverse is not going to be a very happy company, especially investors or the top dogs are going to be like, Dawei, my guy, what you doing, man? So making sure Lyney hits the ground running is going to be a big factor in overall effectiveness of 4.0. Which leads me to think that Lyney might be a slightly overtuned character. Might be, right? So think about it like this. If Lyney has good damage ceiling, the problem with pyro characters and just characters in general has always been their ceilings. Lyney's ceiling needs to get pushed up in order for enough people to want to pull for this character. Now, the meta slaves will only pull for some of the best characters in the game, especially with Full Solar around the corner. Can Hoyoverse tank 4.0 banner as well as 4.1 banners, right? Both of these patches likely will have new characters in it, but if everybody's just like, I'm waiting for the Hydro Archon, I'm skipping both, if not all the characters, then Hoyoverse might start having an issue. And realistically, how well is Full Solar going to sell? Can you really bank on Full Solar making up 4 patches of like less than 50% in sales? I don't think so. Then again, 4.0 has Yelan, has Zhongli, has Mr. Worldwide. So realistically, I think that Yelan might make up for a good bulk of the sales as well. And it's evident because Hoyoverse knows Yelan sells well. Yelan has basically the current record alongside with Hu Tao being the best sold banner in history, period, bar none. It's also because Yelan inherently has value to building her to C6, and with Hoyoverse proving that they don't want to do power creeping in the game, continuing to invest into a C6 Yelan should be on the top of the list for most, if not all, main meta players. Getting a C6 Yelan is basically beating the game. I mean, you guys would think, but Walrus, I beat the game. But no, what I mean by C6 Yelan is like the pinnacle of what Genshin Impact has to offer. And offering that banner right now is evident that Hoyoverse needs to drive some sales. I wouldn't even be surprised if Yelan outsells Lyney, although we don't have such accurate or precise data points to be able to gauge which character sold specifically more or less. But what we can refer to is next patch, when we get Lyney and then we see the Abyss usage with the stuff, roughly we'll know meta wise how many people actually pull for Lyney. Oh my goodness, and this is his banner, right? Right now, if we look at the Abyss usage meta charts from the CN players, which I've been showcasing for the last few patches now, it's evident that Baiju was fairly well received and he sits very comfortably in A tier. Lyney, however, I would want to believe that he is a solid A tier character, maybe rivaling the likes of Hu Tao. However, that's a very tall task to ask because Hu Tao is not always comfortably sitting in A tier or S tier. So Lyney, you have very big shoes to fill, and honestly, if this character flops, Hoyoverse really needs to pick up the bag with Full Solar. Right now, Lyney aside, let's talk about the artifact sets. This is why a lot of people, for like the longest time I can remember, been saying that Fischl is going to be just eating super well. Yes, 75% elemental damage increase, but you got to remember, you got to exclude the amount of bonuses that her current artifacts is giving. So after some quick rough whatever, like very rough math, you're probably getting around 55% of the elemental damage bonus, which is still insane. But then again, I said to chat is that I don't think Fischl as a character, people have been playing her because of how much damage Oz can do, right? And this is not going to really change much. She's still going to be amazing. Yeah, don't get me wrong, a useful buff, more damage, always useful. But overall, it's not going to be something that takes her from, let's say right now, solid A tier, S tier character to like the best character in the game, right? Like same tier as Bennett. Don't think so. Not that big of a buff, but Fischl mains, Fischl players, you're gonna have a lot more fun with this artifact set for sure. But let's be honest here. Do you guys think that Hoyoverse released an entire artifact set for a 4-star character that was released like almost 3 years ago? I don't think so. So we gotta look to other options. We're thinking of Albedo and potentially future characters. So right now, your guess is as good as mine. Is this gonna be the Dendro Archon set? Is this gonna be the Dendro Archon set? Both of these sets looks a little kind of off thematically in terms of the Dendro Archon. If we had to choose one thematics, maybe this Golden Trope set is gonna be more fitted to the general aesthetics of the Archon. But it is very likely that 4.2 is going to drop another artifact set because they always skip a patch, I believe. Was it skip one patch or skip 2 patches? But every couple patches they'll drop a new artifact set, so it's likely that the Hydro Archon set might come out with the Hydro Archon, so maybe not good to speculate that far. Okay, but Albedo we were talking about could use this set, but it's just not that many. We were looking at Nahida potentially using this set, but right now all these characters have really good sets, and just piling raw damage is not really a smart answer. So Golden Troop, as good as it sounds for some, right? Yaimiko maybe even could use this, but as good as it sounds for some, it's going to be fairly limited to who can use this. Onwards to Marichald's Hunter. This set, we were saying that the Zhao would really like this. And a key note to point out here is that when current HP increases or decreases. So this might be a DPS option set that could synergize with future mechanics, because it's such a weirdly phrased artifact set. It's like increases or decreases. So healing you can activate it, losing health can activate it. Zhao's constantly bleeding health, so he can get the 36% immediately, which is huge, meaning that all Zhao's now and going forward will be playing strictly with crit damage circlet, right? So I mean, there's just a ton of things that we need to consider when looking at these artifacts, not just to take them as face value and how they work right now and with current characters. Overall, I think 4.0 is going to be solid. If you want to talk about overall value and longevity, I still think investing in Yelan is a super smart decision. Even if you have her at C0, investing in C1 Yelan is only going to benefit you more in the long run. She's going to become more consistent. She's going to generate more particles, more burst damage. What not to like about C1, right? And more utility in the overworld. C1 Yelan is superb, amazing, chef's kiss, right? And eventually building up to C2, C3. If you're at C4, C5 Yelan right now, moving up to that C6 is gonna change your game. Like, it'll make your Genshin experience a lot more fluid. On top of having you secure one of the best characters in the game, you basically never have to pull another character ever again until Hoyoverse does something about this character. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Lyney, I don't think is going to become the staple of the meta. I think he's just going to sit around Hu Tao like in the future when he finally cools off and his abyss has passed and he's just another DPS. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be a ton of people who love playing him. There's going to be people investing in him, showcasing he's doing great damage, but I don't think he's going to become like a DPS staple. I don't think so. Like, he's like a pyro version of Ganyu and newer, right? So take it as what it is. Maybe he's gonna be good, right? I don't want it to sound like I'm telling you guys don't pull him because he's not gonna be meta, because that's how people interpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't see him redefining what power and meta is in Genshin Impact. And of course, not many characters can do that, right? Very few have ever come out and done that, but they exist in the game and those characters will come again. And I'm just saying, Lyney isn't one of them. So that's all I gotta say for this. Believe it or not, I'm very excited for 4.0, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to play it live on my account because I'll be in China. Maybe I'll use VPN and play it, but playing Genshin on like 400 ping probably isn't going to be very fun. At least that's what I think. And combat is going to be a nightmare. And plus, I'm going to be skipping all the characters in 4.0. I'm really more interested in the story. So we'll see how I'm going to bypass that. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, chat, for sticking with me through the live stream. We have 2 more live streams until I go to China. So until the next one, Orjada, stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye-bye.